Okay, babe. I would like to explain to you what I've felt and discovered just during this experience and this teaching. So it's the teaching number 33 of Book of Life, okay? And as I was reading it, I felt like I was reading it out loud, and I felt like the Father was talking to me directly as I was reading it, because He was like addressing it to me or any humans who would read this book, you know? So it was like so well written, and it was so strong in spirit, baby. It was amazing. And now I feel so tired physically, but I have to share with you. So what I've learned, and just, you know, like, it just clarifies, because you already know basic stuff, you already know what's the law a bit, you know a bit, but sometimes it feels good to really truly feel what's the essence of it and what does it truly mean behind it. So I kind of found a new level of clarity for me while reading this teaching, you know. So God claimed laws and prophecies not to strip us from our freedom, but because He knows our true nature, because He created us, right? And thus knows what will fulfill us and make us feel peaceful. He knows all of that, right? So he offered us His word and His prophecies and His laws. Those were gifts, right? So He can prepare us for battle and make us knowledgeable of, like, hey, I know your nature, I know who you are as spirit, so like, this is the law, and if you follow the law, it will fulfill you and it will make you feel peaceful. You know what I mean? So He knows what represent temptations, sins, and the limits of the flesh. So at the first era, we already talked about the first era was like when we were infants spiritually. Second era is when we were starting to be like learning a bit more, wanting to feel loved by our father or parents spiritually and become growing. And the third era, which is the one that we're experiencing right now, is like, okay, now that you've grown a bit, you're a bit more mature spiritually, I'm going to speak through the Spirit, right? So like a father, He's warning us and teaching us. So that's why when you interpret the first era, often the First Testament, they tell you, you shall not do, you shall not kill, you shall not murder, and all these things, because He had to clearly tell us, like a child, hey, do not touch this, do not steal your neighbor, do not do that, like a child, like a parent would do with their child, you know? But when you read it, people often think, oh, He was like the God was very mean, was very like punitive and everything. But in actuality, when you truly read it, He was actually preparing us. He was warning us of like, hey, you're gonna fall into this and this temptation. That's what's your flesh gonna bring you, and that's, if you follow my word and my law of love, that's what's gonna bring you salvation, freedom, peacefulness, true peace, right? And so He's like our ally for battle, right? So sin represent death. That's what people, a lot of pastors says, it represents death. But for me, reading this part was more specifically, it represents like a slow poison, because we're all sinful, right? We all are tempted to do some sins and everything. It's like a poison, because it gives us a perverse feeling of pleasure at the moment, but it's just not sustainable, because you're going to have to repeat the sin in order to feel again this pleasure, right? And it actually stains your spirit, and it separates us slowly from the conscience of God, right? So we talked often that separation, sin is a separation of God, but that's what it means. It's just that it provides you a sense of pleasure and fulfillment, but it's perverse. It doesn't truly make you feel a true satisfaction to your heart and spirit. What does bring me true satisfaction of the heart and spirit? So the sin makes you, give you an illusion that it's going to satisfy you spiritually, but it doesn't. Why? Because so many people, superficial material pleasures can attain possible gratification, satisfaction of your spirit. This is why so many keep seeking, become crazy and obsessed. You're thinking, now I'm going to give easy ideas of what's sin, but I'm still discovering what is really representing sin, because maybe it's everything we thought that was not sin were actually sin, and the opposite, right? But we're thinking of like people who are getting obsessed with pornography, watching a lot of sex videos. People are getting obsessed with gambling. People are just watching and binge watching movies back. It gives us a sense of pleasure. We're reading books that makes us giving pleasure, but like, does it truly bring us satisfaction to my heart and spirit? That's why people with superficiality and material pleasures, they keep repeating it, because consciously they keep seeking something that's going to give them fulfillment once and for all. And anything, no one who is wealthy or riches of this world can claim they are peaceful. Anything they can possibly imagine having, possibly can access so much of pleasures, never going to fulfill them as much as the love of God, as much as you can experience the love of God and His true word, and actually following His path and walking through His path and His laws, his doctrine. So when we keep sinning, let's say we keep eating this poison slowly, we start forgetting His voice. And during the teaching I was reading, when you become spirit again and you leave your physical body, then the voice of God, let's say, speaks to you. And then you know the voice, but you don't truly recognize it. You're like, it sounds familiar, so He doesn't recognize you. And what happened is that God is not the one punishing us, actually. It's our own spirit. Our spirit feels ashamed, like we know we did something wrong like a kid. We go back to your parents and you're like, and they come to you, what did you do? And they don't even freaking chicane you. They don't even freaking tell you what's wrong. You already know. So you look down, ashamed. You don't dare to speak up. And yourself feels so bad already, but the parents have said nothing. But the presence of your parents, because you knew you did something wrong, makes you already punish yourself. So our own spirits feel so ashamed, weeps, feels weak, lost light, His liveliness. So in face of the purity and life of His kingdom, so facing God, facing His kingdom at the entrance of the kingdom, your spirit knows by its conscience that He's done something wrong, that He's not pure enough to come into the kingdom. So it's not God that punishes us, it's our own conscience. You know, when we feel shame, when we feel something bad, we did something wrong, it's not God, it's us. He knows because we're a part of Him. So we are truly seeking this purity and this salvation into ourselves, So that's what I want, I wish that people would be more aware of. There's no punitive God. He's our ally. He's our friend. He's a father. He's a loving father. He's merciful. All the times we fucked up, He came back in. He offered us His help. He offers His Son, His Christ, His presence, His words. We have so much access to so many resources. So He keeps forgiving because He wants us back with Him. So our conscience is what makes one to repent and feel sorrowful. Okay? So what I was saying is that God is so merciful that He listens patiently. How many times we seek and ask for prayers that is not what He wants for us, but He grants our prayers when it's possible. He created miracles when it was possible. We saw so many miracles happening to our own asking, right? That fits our will. Oh, God, make us have $10,000 come into your lap. Oh, God, make us have this job. Oh, God, He grants our prayers. But truly, His deepest desire as the Father is for us to evolve spiritually and become an example of His love so we can help our brethren. It's written black on white. Every time I read the teaching, that's what He wants for us, that we evolve and then we can help humanity. Help them become a light for Him as well. Help them become more charitable, more loving, and more forgiving. You know what I mean? That's His true desire, but He loves us so much that He hears our prayer. He's always present. He hears what we say. He knows our battles, and He's like, He loves us so much, He wants to prove that He's present, that He grants us wishes. You know what I mean? But sometimes I realize not because our wishes are granted and the miracles are happening according to our faith and our asking, that we are in connection with God and we know everything. You know what I mean? There's so much more, a path further to go down. And to actually start to become humble on our knees and serve Him instead of asking Him to serve us. Right? And He's happy. He knows like we love Him, we respect Him, we believe in Him. So He's happy to provide that for us. But if you want to go to the next step, it's about serving Him. It's never been about us. You know what I mean? So I'm really sweating right now, but of excitement. And then another thing He said is that, often they said the angels were looking at us, they were jealous, or they hope to have our body and everything. Let us be grateful of a physical body, because He calls it the valley of spirit, the spiritual valley. I don't know, there's a lot of, like, they're numerous, baby. The army is numerous. We're like surrounded right now with a lot of spirits. Like, it's like crime right now, baby. It's crazy. You don't like crime and crowds, but it's crime. Like, there's a lot of spirits right now. And then they all would love and dreamed of this body, because in a body in flesh you can do physical things and show the other lost ones, the other lost souls. You can show them with miracles, healing, with touching, with hugs. You know what I mean? So let us be aware that we should be grateful of this body and use it actually to help humanity. For many spirits envy that, right? Sometimes we like cry babies, like, oh, my back hurts, like I've been saying, or like we're like, oh, we should like work out better so we could look good in our body. We should eat better. We're like thinking of us, you know, selfishly. How can I serve my body better? How can I look better? How can I be healed better? But this body also is a vessel for God's transparency, so we can use these bodies to help others and show the mercy of God through it. Let us be aware of that. You know what I mean? And then he finally said, the spirit comes to earth clearly aware of its mission. It belongs to us to search within the mission and to a reawakening. Because when we come into earth, we start to sin. We start to be in a physical world. We start separating, so we start forgetting his voice. But truly, the spirit knows already what's the mission when he came on earth multiple times after reincarnation. He knows, the spirit. He said it. The spirit knows when he comes to earth what is clearly his mission. But we just started to forget. We forgot for so many lifetimes because we were lost into this physical world. You know what I mean? So like, that's why we call it the intuition, the conscious. I think that's when sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it's a way of the spirit to tell you, hey, we should go this direction, we should take this decision, right? And how do we listen more to this inner voice? By practicing, right? By practicing it, by listening more, focusing on the true essence of his word, on the form, on the outside form, the bigger picture. Because when you forget, you can read me, and then you will remember how much love and clarity and charity I have to offer. You know what I mean? All the books we've been reading about testaments, all the testimonials, all the books I'm reading right now, is to make us remember. It's simply to make us remember, because we forget. We live our daily lives and we forget, and we have to renew our faith and remember it on a daily basis, on every moment. That's why he shows us miracles. That's why he grants the miracles of like multitudes of fish, breads and everything. Not to like show us, hey, look who's the creator, I'm the strong one and I can show you I can do a lot. Is to actually strengthen our faith and remember us that 10 days later, when we're going to forget and have doubts of our faith to him, we're going to say, hey, no, that's true. He loved us so much, he provided food for all of us, for thousands of us. Let me remember, but just not remember by mind and memories, but feel it. Let us feel the love he got for us, to experience it, and to actually allow us this beautiful miracle. Live it in our spirit, you know? And finally, it's our duty, because he gave us freedom of will. We shall use our freedom to devote ourselves, to evolve and to pray. He keeps often to say spiritually evolvement and praying a lot for others, to be merciful in our praise, to be merciful in our judgment, to be merciful, to not wish for others to pay for their wrongdoings instead, but to pray for them to be liberated, you know, because they already are going to pay for their debts and their sins. So let us not use our prayer to even worsen it, you know, so let us be charitable in our prayers, you know what I mean? So the freedom is such a loving gift, you know, that he gave us. He loves us so much, he gave us the freedom, that we shall repay that with charity and love. You know, it's almost like a duty. So we've been given a body, we shall be grateful. We've been given a freedom, and he's been giving us a lot of laws and prophecies and things to practice us. And so we have all the tools, tabarnak, to freaking actually, you know, look it up and feel it and practice it and everything. So all of this and all the testimonials and all the testaments has been continuous testimonials of his love, proofs of his love for us, of his forgiveness, of his charity. He loves us so much. He loves us so much, and it's almost so overwhelming when I think about him, when I read about him. So that's it. I have spoken.